Hi writers, it's so good to see you again. I'm excited to show you how to take your evidence and your organization, your planning for your historical opinion essay and put it all together. Okay, so first I want to show you mine. So as you can see right here, it says Chapter 4, why the Monterey Convention is important. So thesis, the Monterey Convention, this is what I did yesterday. The Monterey Convention is important to the California history. Reason 1, it has the California Constitution was written. That's one reason why. My second reason, it was the beginning of the California state government. Number 3, I'm reading it backwards. It made California safer and prepared for statehood. Okay, and then underneath that I put all my evidence. So what I want you to notice about my evidence is that I've used facts. So this is just a quick review of yesterday where you had collected your information. Like I wrote the date of when the Constitution was written. And when I said there was a lot of people, you know, who helped write the Constitution, I called them delegates. And then I had examples of where they were from. And down here, I also, I just kept going back to my information, writers. I kept going back to my sheets that had all my information because I don't remember every detail. I'm sure you don't remember every detail, but I know that when you look at all the details you've got in these papers, a lot more can come to you. So because I'm writing about why the Monterey Convention was important, I'm looking at my papers of the Monterey Convention. Okay, that's what historians do. So writers, what I want to do is I want to show you how I took my information from here. You see that? Wow. You see that? And then I'm going to put it into an essay. Okay. Hi writers, one more thing before I show you my writing, I want to remind you that we're following the same exact writing structure that we did for both opinion units. So if you remember the Persuade Me poster with your thesis, your 3 reasons, and your introduction, and then you'd have 1 reason. That exact pattern we're going to do for this essay, except our examples are not going to come from our life. They're not going to come from our opinions. They're going to come from facts of history. Okay, we're using the facts of history to prove an opinion. Okay, because that's what Naomi did in her example essay, and I'm going to show you now how I did that for the Monterey Convention. Okay, writers. So here you can see the beginning of my essay, why the Monterey Convention is important. So here it says, my thesis, the Monterey Convention is important to California history because, and there you see reason 1, 2, and 3, which I'm going to code in orange. So every time you see them in my essay, they're going to be in orange. And every time you see my thesis again, it's going to be in green. So to reread, the Monterey Convention is important in California history, my thesis, because it is when the California Constitution was written, it started the California state government, and it made California safer and prepared for statehood. Just as you see 1, 2, and 3, that's going to be my body paragraphs. 1, 2, and 3. That's what your reader expects, okay? So now I'm going to bring you down to my first body paragraph. 1 reason that the Monterey Convention was important to California history, it's kind of a long thesis, but it is what it is. Yours probably will be too. Is because it was when the California Constitution was written. Look back up where it says R1 at the top. Do you see how that matches? Okay, so it follows the same format here. Now I'm going to show you, I have some different transition words because, for example, just didn't fit here. It felt weird to say, for example, California was a territory. That didn't make sense. So sometimes in history, you're just going to say what it was like before, to give your reader some understanding. So instead of saying it was when the California Constitution was written, for example, California was a territory, I just said at this time, so I can tell my reader what was happening before this change. At this time, California was a territory without official laws. So Governor General Riley gathered 49 delegates of all different jobs like merchants, lawyers, farmers, bankers, etc. to the Monterey Convention to write the new state laws. So writers, what I've done here is right after I did my thesis and my reason, I have my evidence. So I'm going to highlight my evidence in yellow. Boom, it's yellow now. So here we go. At this time, there's my transition word. California was a territory without official laws. So there's another transition word right there. At this time, then so. So it doesn't always have to be, for example. Governor General Riley gathered 49 delegates of all different jobs like merchants, lawyers, farmers, bankers, etc. to the Monterey Convention to write the new state laws. Notice I didn't highlight any of these in between words, and there's a reason. And then it's yellow again, so it's evidence again. Do you remember what goes after your evidence every time? It is where you explain or elaborate or say this shows that. This all means the same thing, okay? You have to explain how the evidence proves the reason, which proves the thesis. You have to make the connection before you move on. And you cannot just say, this shows that. The California Constitution, this is when the California Constitution was written, which is why the Monterey Convention was important. You cannot just repeat your reason and thesis. You have to tell me more. So watch what I do. So here I told you about all the different people and their jobs, yeah? So here, watch me explain it. By gathering all of these people of all different jobs in Monterey for this convention, people were together to write laws that would benefit everyone. So I'm explaining why this is a good thing. All different people, all different, from different places and different jobs. Here is my next example. Sometimes because of history, you don't even have to use a transition word. Sometimes it can just flow. They were finished with the California Constitution on November 13th, 1849, which was then sent to Congress for approval. Now, I did not remember that part, but I looked back in my evidence, I looked back at my papers, and I found that. Writers, notice I used a date. Notice every single time I call it the California Constitution. I never just call it the Constitution, and there's a reason why. If I call it the Constitution, people are going to think it's the USA Constitution, the one that's in Washington, D.C. So every time I have to call it the California Constitution. I also want you to notice I write the full word California every time. We don't use abbreviations in essays because we're not in a rush, even if we are in a rush. So always write it out, okay? So there I have my evidence again. So now I need to tie it all together. I need to explain or elaborate, or this shows that, but I have to explain how this evidence proves this reason, which proves this thesis. I have to connect to here and here. So check this out. This proves that without the Monterey Convention, the California Constitution we know today would not have been written. So sometimes what we do is, if it's hard to say what it proves, you can just say that if it didn't happen, what would be different now? That'll help you, okay? So if it didn't happen, what would be different now? So this proves that without, so if the Monterey Convention hadn't happened, the California Constitution we know today, because there probably would have been one written at some point, would not have been written. And without a state constitution, remember I have to say which one, to be approved, we would not have become a state on September 9th, 1850. Do you see how I just connected how this event of the convention, the Monterey Convention, is a part of us becoming our history of when we became a state? That connects. It is clear the Monterey Convention was essential to California history. So what I did there is I said, okay, I just showed you that if this event hadn't happened, this Monterey Convention, then the laws we have right now would not have been written. I can't say they'd never be written because they probably something would have been written at some point, I'm sure. But that's where you can say as we know today. Okay? Then I'm done connecting it, doing my explanation of why it connects to my reason and my thesis, I start with the next pattern. Another reason that the Monterey Convention is important to California history is, so there's my transition, thesis, because it started the California state government. So that's my second reason. Okay, writers, now it's your turn. You're going to take your plan from yesterday, you're going to put it all together like I just did, and you're going to draft. You're going to start and finish your essay today, okay? First draft. And remember what I said. You follow the same order that we did with the Persuade Me poster, the opinion essay unit, okay? So we have the thesis, we have the 3 reasons in our introduction, and then we begin. Thesis, reason, evidence, explain. Evidence, explain. Starts again. Thesis, reason, and then I would start with my evidence, explain. And remember, if you're having trouble explaining why it was such a big deal, you can just say, if it didn't happen, how would history be different now? Okay, which can sometimes show us why something's a big deal. If you have any questions, email your teacher, either me or Ms. Karad, and we can help you. But you need to get working on this right away so that we can give you the most help that you need. You're going to be great because you're already experts on this. All right, good luck, historical authors. One more final tip. Remember to watch this video again if you get stuck or if you have any doubts on what you need to do. Okay, bye.